Just hit a button, Morty. Give me a beat.
Oh man, okay, alright,
Arsenal 2, Chelsea 1, a tactical analysis how Arteta beat Frank Lampard. So going into the game, Arteta set up his side in a 3-4-3 system with Emi Martinez in goal, Holding as a right-sided centre-back, Tierney as a left-sided centre-back, and David Luiz playing in the centre of the back three. Bellerin started as a right wing-back, Ainsley Maitland-Niles as the left wing-back, and Xhaka and Ceballos played as a midfield double pivot, with Aubameyang on the left side of the attack, Pepe on the right, and Lacazette out front. Lampard also used a 3-4-3 system with Caballero in goal as Azpilicueta the right-sided centre-back, Rudiger the central centre-back, and Zouma on the left side of the back three. Reece James started as a right wing-back, Alonso started as the left wing-back, Jorginho and Kovacic played as a midfield double pivot, with Pulisic on the left of the front three, Mason Mount on the right, and Giroud up front. So before I get into the analysis, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when my videos come out, as otherwise you may miss out on them. And after this video, check out some of my other videos, like my tactical analysis of how Mikel Arteta beat Pep Guardiola in the FA Cup semi-final. That video will be linked in the description below as an Arsenal playlist. So from the start of the game, both sides pressed in a similar style. Arsenal pressed Chelsea aggressively in their 3-4-3 shape in a man-to-man system when the ball was in Chelsea's defensive third. Lacazette pressurised the central centre-back, whilst the wide attackers Aubameyang and Pepe were positioned narrow, looking to press the wide centre-backs, but also looking to cut off the passing lanes into the wing-backs. Xhaka and Ceballos pushed high up the pitch to pressurise Kovacic and Jorginho in the Chelsea midfield double pivot, whilst we also saw the Arsenal wing-backs ready to press Alonso and James when they received the ball. Chelsea were able to bypass the press and move into the middle third. Arteta's side would drop from a 3-4-3 pressing shape into a 5-4-1, with the wing-backs dropping deeper and Aubameyang and Pepe moving into the wide midfield positions to create a flat midfield four. Chelsea did this similarly, pushing Kovacic and Jorginho extremely high up the pitch to man-to-man press Ceballos and Xhaka, with Pulisic and Mount also ready to press the wide centre-backs but being wary of cutting off the passing lane into the wing-backs. Chelsea did use the man-to-man pressing system a lot more aggressively. The wide centre-backs Azpilicueta and Rudiger would man-mark the Arsenal wide attackers, Pepe and Aubameyang, following them into deep positions if necessary to stop them becoming the free man in the middle third and getting on the ball. Here we see Rudiger has tracked Pepe all the way back to the edge of his box, stopping him being able to receive the ball and then turn. I thought that Chelsea's press was a lot more effective than Arsenal's. This is because early on in the game, Pulisic and Mount were moving infield into central positions, which meant that when Xhaka and Ceballos pushed up the field, those two, in particular Pulisic, were available to receive the ball in the centre of the field to turn and dribble into the final third when they received the ball. Secondly, Chelsea had Giroud as an outlet when Arsenal pressed them high, as seen here as Alonso is penned into his own defensive third with not many passing options around, due to Arsenal's man-to-man pressing. He, instead of playing a long hopeless ball upfield, plays a long pass into Giroud, who's able to chest the ball down for Pulisic on Mount, and now Chelsea have bypassed the Arsenal high press and moved the ball into the Arsenal half, and taken the Arsenal front five out of the game. The Chelsea goal came from this sort of movement in behind the Arsenal midfield from Pulisic. We see here that Jorginho has the ball in the middle third, and due to the lack of pressure from the Arsenal midfield, who have dropped off slightly, Jorginho is able to turn and move the ball forward. The Arsenal midfield are caught between two intentions. They firstly want to be high enough in order to try to press Chelsea, but are also cautious about leaving too much space in behind. In the end they do neither, and Jorginho is able to feed a ball through for Pulisic. Pulisic does excellently to receive the ball and dribble it quickly to move it into the final third. Mason Mount makes a very good run across the pitch from right to left in between the right-sided centre-back and the right wing-back, providing an option for Pulisic. His ball across the box eventually works its way into Pulisic's path, who coolly dinks it over the on-rushing Martinez in goal. This goal also showcased two other aspects of Chelsea's play in this game. The first was Giroud's movement deep from the forward line, which has been a massive part of his game since he came back into the Chelsea side, as he's the main link man providing an option between the lines. The second was a half use of the inverted wing backs, with both Alonso and here in this clip Reece James moving infield to provide a passing option. This was used because Lampard knew that Chelsea would struggle to work the ball through the Arsenal compact front five, and that they would be forced out wide to the wing-backs. By having Reece James move infield, he essentially opens up a new passing lane between Aubameyang and Xhaka, and if the pass can be played through to him, Chelsea are able to bypass the Arsenal press. In the first 30 minutes, Arsenal weren't as effective at playing out from the Chelsea press. This was because unlike Ceballos and Xhaka, Jorginho and Kovacic were willing to push extremely high up the pitch, because they knew that Rudiger would follow Pepe and Azpilicueta would follow Aubameyang if they dropped into the space that they had vacated. This meant that the Chelsea press was more vertically compact, and therefore Ceballos and Xhaka struggled to receive and then turn on the ball. In the first 30 minutes, Mikel Arteta also wasn't as good as Pulisic was at dropping deep and receiving the ball. When a pass was played into him, he was often clumsy on the ball, not being able to turn quickly enough to get away from his defender in the middle third and work the ball high up the pitch, which allowed Chelsea to win the ball back and stop the Arsenal attack progressing forward. However, after around the 30-minute mark, Arsenal gained a foothold in the game, as Chelsea struggled to build out through Arsenal's press as they had been doing before. This was because the wide centre-backs were staying a lot tighter to Mount and Pulisic, stopping them receiving the ball and turning when they dropped in behind Ceballos and Xhaka. David Luiz also became a lot stronger against Giroud, which stopped Chelsea being able to use him as a wall to bounce the ball off to bypass the Arsenal press. Arsenal were also beginning to play through Chelsea's press a lot better, as Ceballos became the main man for doing this by playing passes in between the lines as Lacazette and Pepe dropped off from the forward line. Arsenal did get some reward for this. They were able to exploit Chelsea's aggressive press, as Chelsea pushed high up the pitch and space was left in behind their back line, as Azpilicueta was in all sorts of trouble when a long pass was played over his head and left him in a straight race with Aubameyang down the left-sided channel. Aubameyang was brought down in the box and scored from the resulting penalty to see Arsenal going into half-time with an equaliser and being the better side in the last 10 minutes of the half. In the second half, Chelsea did continue with their aggressive pressing in their 3-4-3 shape. However, we did see Arsenal drop off maybe 15 yards when out of possession, in a 5-2-3 shape which often became a 5-4-1. This made their press less effective, allowed Chelsea to work the ball from their defensive third to the middle third a lot easier, and we saw Jorginho and Kovacic get on the ball a lot more often, with Jorginho dictating the play through his long range passing. He was able to switch the ball out wide to the wing backs or look to find Mount's diagonal runs in behind the Arsenal backline. This then led to a sustained 20 minutes of Chelsea dominance in terms of possession at the start of the second half. Despite Chelsea's dominance in terms of possession, it was Arsenal who were able to get the next goal in the game. The ball broke for Bellerin in the middle third, with Chelsea positionally stretched. Here we see the problem of playing Kovacic and Jorginho as a midfield double pivot. Whilst both are excellent ball players, they lack the athleticism and ability to break up the play that a Kante or a Bakayoko would have. When Bellerin races through the centre of the pitch with the ball, Kovacic doesn't have the ability to break up the attack, which allows the Arsenal wing-back to progress the ball through the centre of the pitch, forcing Rudiger to move out of the back line, and he gets beaten far too easy as he approaches Bellerin face on instead of in a side-on position where he can anticipate the movement from one side to the other. From then on, after Christensen's tackle, Chelsea's backline was stretched. Aubameyang recognised that if he holds his position, he's in the perfect place to receive the ball. Lacazette's movement over to the right side forces Zouma to close up that space, but in doing so he only opens up more space for Aubameyang on the left side of the attack. Pepe gets the ball across to him and Zouma confronts Aubameyang far too flat-footed, and whilst he does block the shot on Aubameyang's right, he overcompensates, allows Aubameyang to slide past him on the left and finish past Caballero, proving just why Aubameyang has to be considered a world-class forward. Throughout the second half, both sides' presses seemed to drop in intensity and they were often getting played through far too frequently. Whilst this was a tactical problem, it had a lot to do with two key players, Mateo Kovacic for Chelsea and Dani Ceballos for Arsenal, who were both of their sides' main source of progressing the play into the final third and bypassing the opposition's press. Kovacic did this through his dribbling ability. Here he receives the ball with his back to goal as Ceballos moves to press him. As he does, he turns with the ball in one touch and is able to glide past the Arsenal midfielder, leaving the Arsenal front five behind him, and now Chelsea have the ball in Arsenal's half. Ceballos did this more through his passing. Here he has the ball in the middle third, and rather than looking to play a simple pass backwards or out wide, he splits the Chelsea system with one sharp pass into Mikel Arteta, and Arsenal now have the ball in Chelsea's defensive third. Here we also see Kovacic do it through his passing as he receives the ball and plays a great reverse pass into Pedro, who's moved in behind the Arsenal midfield double pivot, and this enables him to motor forward with the ball to the edge of the Arsenal box. However, Chelsea desperately missed Pulisic as we saw the threat he provided in the first half when picking up the ball in these positions. Pedro didn't have the decisiveness or vision to pick out the right pass when around the box, so even though he does manage to progress the ball to the edge of the box, when he gets there he turns around and the attacking opportunity is somewhat lost. However, despite Kovacic being very impressive throughout the game, he was a player to get sent off for a second yellow, even though I did think this second yellow was very harsh, but nevertheless the game changed. We saw Lampard's side initially move to a 5-3-1 shape, with Mount and Pedro tucking in, but then he changed it to a 4-4-1 shape, with Barkley dropping into the midfield alongside Jorginho. From then on, it was always going to be tough for Chelsea with 10 men, no Kovacic who was the key to advancing the play, and no Pulisic. It led to Arsenal pressing Chelsea a lot easier with one less player to man-to-man press, and enabled Arteta's side to completely shut down the Chelsea attack. So thank you for watching. Remember after this video to check out my Who Arsenal Should Sign series, as well as my Arteta versus Pep Guardiola tactical analysis, and in the future I may be doing a video on someone like Thomas Partey who has been linked with Arsenal, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that.